My name's Mary Johnson and I work for Shropshire Council. I work for the joint training team and I have a passion for training people and giving information about what really affects us in our lives. I work with adults who have care and support needs and with those staff and professionals that might be supporting them, and I also really like to let carers around the law and legislation that might be important to you or the person that you love one day. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Mental Capacity Act, which some people may know of. It came out in 2005 and it came out with a really nice code of practice that helped us to highlight that sometimes people need help making choices and decisions, and sometimes due to an illness or an impairment people might not always be able to make choices and decisions, and what do we do about it? So the Mental Capacity Act is a really exciting thing to learn about, both from a caring point of view and a professional point of view, and if you're somebody who uses services. It's law and we must look at it and we must use it. When does it come into play? It comes into play from the point of time that the person is 16 years of age all the way up to wherever they achieve in their lifetime of years. It gives us some very clear principles. It gives us some very clear principles around human rights. Once I'm an adult, and throughout all of my adult life, I have the same human rights as anybody else. So it's really important that we look at how we give people choices, how we give people autonomy, how we give people time to process and think things through. And that's what the Mental Capacity Act for me is the most exciting part about it. It asks us to make sure that we do this. We have a statutory duty to do it. We do know that sometimes, due to no fault of the individual, they may not be able to make choices in their lives. And it gives us some very clear guidance then about how we provide a less restrictive option, so it still helps the person to have as much freedom as possible, and we make sure that what we decide to put in place, because the person isn't deciding to put that in place at that moment in time, is in that individual's best interests. But we also fundamentally make sure that it includes what the person would wish, what makes them tick, what they think about that situation. So that's a very quick little overview of what the Mental Capacity Act says and what it does. We're having to do it all the time. It's issue specific, it's time specific, so it's all the time that we're looking at this for people. I've been involved in some quite interesting stuff. Staff have a card around the Mental Capacity Act. It includes the lead in Shropshire Council, who's Lorraine Curry. It includes links to joint training. It includes what we do if it's in somebody's best interest. I've also worked with people who use services, and they've produced a card as well. So I talk about these 5 principles, and people with learning disabilities, autism, mental health needs came up with this fantastic card that really breaks down the Mental Capacity Act and demystifies it. It says principle 1, 2 and 3 are all about me, and 4 and 5 you do with me if I lack capacity. On the back, they very clearly said, number 1 is start by thinking I can make my own decision. Number 2, do all you can to support me, to help me make that decision. Number 3, just because my decision seems unwise, it doesn't always mean that I lack capacity. But if I do, let's move down to number 4. What you put in place is the best interest for me and is less restrictive to my freedom and actions. So really, really lovely. Make sure that whatever you put in place does not stop more than needed. This is a quick taster. If you want to know a little bit more, please get in touch with us at Joint Training. Please have a look. There's some links to training sessions that you might want to come on. And just remember, in any meeting, in any point in somebody's life, especially when they're making large decisions for them, the Mental Capacity Act should be used.